Thank you, Your Excellency, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, and distinguished delegates. Allow me to begin by thanking His Excellency President Ilham Aliyev, the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan, the Chair of the Non-Aligned Movement, for convening this timely summit on the COVID-19 pandemic, which is the gravest public health emergency in over a century that the world is facing. Though every country has been impacted, it has not been to the same degree. The Global South shoulders the historical burden of poverty, inequality, and underdevelopment, weak health systems, and infrastructure combined with significant resource challenges make our response, respective countries, to be very vulnerable. What is needed is coordinated international action to respond effectively to the COVID-19 challenge. The demonstration of international solidarity we have witnessed from members of the non-aligned movement and our partners has been immensely encouraging. South Africa is grateful for the moral and material support we have received since the outbreak of the coronavirus pandemic. A coordinated response and deeper solidarity amongst developing countries will be an indispensable weapon in our collective war against this pandemic. South Africa has over 6,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus and over 120 people have died. We declared a national state of disaster just over 7 weeks ago and subsequently imposed a nationwide lockdown to slow down the rate of infection. This has helped tremendously to flatten the curve of infection. We have joined other African countries in placing mass screening and testing at the center of the next phase of our response. Our public health response has been matched by measures to protect the poor and vulnerable whose livelihoods have been affected. We have rolled out a range of emergency social relief measures, scaled up delivery of critical services such as water to distressed communities, and provided distress funding to businesses unable to operate during the lockdown. We welcome the World Health Organization's recent launch of a global collaboration to accelerate the development, the production, and equitable global access to new COVID-19 essential health technologies. As the non-aligned movement, we must continue to lobby the international community to support and work with the World Health Organization and its Director General, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, in leading the fight against this pandemic. Dr. Ghebreyesus has done a fantastic job as the Director General of the World Health Organization and deserves our applause and also our support. For its part, the African Union has established a COVID-19 response fund to direct resources to bolster the continent's response. To date, African countries have contributed a combined amount of $61 million to this fund and to support the work of the Africa Centers for Disease Control. As chairperson of the African Union, I have appointed special envoys to mobilize international support for Africa's efforts to address the economic challenges African countries will face as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. The economic impact of the pandemic is significant, and it is clear that a stimulus package is needed to support Africa's economic recovery. The AU has called for debt deferral or waiver of interest payments to assist in resolving the liquidity challenges many countries face and to give them fiscal room to respond to the pandemic. We call on our international partners to support our request to the IMF and the World Bank for debt referrals and interest waivers. We affirm our support for the call for the sanctions imposed on Cuba, Iran, Sudan, Venezuela, and Zimbabwe to be lifted to ensure their access to essential supplies, to COVID-19 tests, as well as medical support. And in some cases, also for food support and supplies to be able to reach these countries on whom illegal sanctions have been imposed. And we call upon the world to lift these sanctions. This is the time for solidarity, not for exclusion or for vengeance or for revenge. The clear sign of solidarity has been demonstrated to us in South Africa and a number of other countries on the African continent. And in the case of South Africa, this was demonstrated when His Excellency President Miguel Diaz-Canel agreed to my request to send Cuban doctors to South Africa. 217 doctors and medical staff arrived last week in South Africa. We in turn sent medical supplies to Cuba to assist them. We call on the international community to continue to support the efforts of the UN agencies to bring humanitarian and medical aid to those in occupied territories such as Palestine and Western Sahara. In all our efforts to overcome the coronavirus pandemic, our focus must be on the most vulnerable and ensuring that the rights of all people are protected. South Africa strongly supports the declaration of the non-aligned movement. We therefore support the creation of a task force as a concrete outcome of this summit, with a view to establishing a common database reflecting the needs of non-aligned movement members. May we deepen our collaboration as we deal with this crisis. May it demonstrate our unwavering commitment as the non-aligned movement countries to peace and to friendship. I thank you.